Hey, I'm Adam Jusko, and this is Strictly Credit Cards, where we talk about strictly credit cards. Subscribe, why don't you? In this video, the State Department Federal Credit Union Premium Cashback Plus Visa. We are going to review it now. This is a card that is a pretty nice cashback card. And on the surface, you might look at the name and say, well, State Department Federal Credit Union, that's going to be for a very narrow audience. However, there is a way to become a member no matter who you are, really. So if you're interested in the card, it's not difficult to become a member of this credit union. So let's talk about the card itself, and then we'll talk about membership in the credit union if you are interested in the card. So the State Department Federal Credit Union Premium Cashback Plus Visa Signature is a cashback card that gives you 2% flat cashback, the same 2% back on every single thing that you buy with the card. Now that is a nice flat cashback rate and puts it right up there with the best 2% flat cashback cards on the regular open market, those being the Citi Double Cash and PayPal Cashback MasterCard, the two most well-known. There may be some smaller ones out there, but those are the ones that most people, if they were looking at flat cashback, that's what you would probably compare this card to. Now, this card also has some features that those cards don't have that might make it even better. And the first is a potential bonus. So you can earn $200 as a bonus if you spend $3,000 with this card in the first 3 months that you have it. Now, obviously, to get that $200 bonus, that is a fairly big spend. However, other 2% cards out on the market don't even offer a sign-up bonus in most cases, because they are sort of making the equation that if we're giving you more back in cash on your everyday purchases, we're not going to lure you in with that sign-up bonus on the front end. In this case, you get the 2%, and then you also have that potential to get a $200 bonus, even though it does take $3,000 in spend to get there. And then the second feature that is very much worth noting is the interest rate. So as I make this video, at the very worst, your interest rate would be 15.24% with this card. At best, it could be 9.24%. So those are interest rates that are way lower than you would see out on the open market from the big banks. So this is a credit union that if you join and you get a hold of this card, you're going to get a much better interest rate. Now, for me personally, I don't care a whole lot about interest rates because I don't ever carry a balance on my cards. I'm always going to pay them off in full. So I tend to just look at all the other features of the card. But if you're someone that ever does carry a balance, it's at least nice to know that the rate that you would pay on this card is significantly less than you would pay from cards that are from the big banks. Other things to note: no annual fee on this card, no foreign transaction fees. So if you use it outside of the United States, you're not going to get any extra fee on top of whatever you actually spend in another country. So that is a nice thing that not all cards offer. There are no 0% offers on this card, so there's no 0% on purchases for X amount or 0% on balance transfers. So if you're looking for that, you're not going to get it here. In terms of credit line, minimum $5,000 credit line, which might sound nice, but what it also probably brings to mind is, well, am I going to qualify for this card? Because usually if a bank or credit union is going to give you a card that at minimum has a $5,000 credit line, there's probably going to be some standard in terms of whether you are going to be approved for it. So you probably are going to need a little bit better credit score to be approved for this card. That would be my guess based on everything I know of the market in general and the fact that this card is offering that big of a credit line at minimum. What credit score exactly? I'm not really sure. It's always a guessing game when it comes to credit scores, but I would think that you would have to have at least a 700, probably a little bit higher than a 700 to qualify for this card. In terms of redeeming your cash back, you can redeem it as a statement credit, meaning it goes against purchases you have made on the card, or you can have the money transferred into your State Department Federal Credit Union savings account or checking account. Now, you will have to open a State Department Federal Credit Union savings account with at least $1 if you want to become a member. So you will have that savings account. It's not like an extra step really, because that's part of the membership process. So obviously you could have the money go into there and you could take it out if you wanted to, or you could use it as the statement credit against your card purchases. Now let's talk about eligibility for the credit union. I said earlier that pretty much anyone could become a member. Now obviously if you are part of the State Department, an employee or a contractor or a family of one of those, that would qualify you for membership. There are some other employers and associations also where you would qualify for membership automatically. However, if you're none of those things, and there's probably a good chance that you are none of those things, you could also qualify by becoming a member of the American Consumer Council, which is a nonprofit consumer advocacy group. So I looked on the American Consumer Council site, and when I look at their membership, it does show an $8 member fee, but I'm not quite sure if you have to pay for it if you go through the credit union, because it is actually part of your application process with the State Department Credit Union that it, asks you, how are you eligible to be a member? And if you don't qualify in the other way, well, then you would qualify through the American Consumer Council. So that is how it would work. It's right there in the application process. So you don't have to go be a member and then prove it and all that kind of stuff, all wound up into one. So anyway, there may be an $8 fee. I'm not exactly sure of that. And then, like I said earlier, you do have to open a savings account with at least $1 in it in order to have your credit union membership established. Now, being a member of a credit union can be a great thing. You can get products like this credit card that give you, rates or rewards that are difficult to get otherwise. You might get, auto loan rates that are better than the open market. You might get mortgage rates, all that kind of stuff that are better. The potential downside sometimes to credit unions, depending on how big they are, depending on how well run they are, is the fact that sometimes they can be a little slow and clunky. And the reviews of the State Department Federal Credit Union are sort of toward the slow and clunky side. So it seems if you want to apply for membership and if you want to apply for this cashback card, it could be a bit of a process. Number one, they're probably going to ask you for more information than sort of the standard credit card application from some of the big banks. Number two, they're not going to turn it around as fast. You're not going to see, instant approval and then the card shows up in a week. It is probably going to be more of a process. So some people have said that it has taken them a while before they, got any sort of decision one way or the other, and then to kind of go into that process, have to wait a while and then get dinged if they decide they don't want you, can also be a little annoying, because then you became a member of the credit union, or at least you tried to become a member, and then they kick you out. And so that is something you have to understand up front, that you are going to have to a little bit more of a process, and this sounds like a credit union that is a little bit slower than maybe some other credit unions are, and definitely slower than the big banks are going to be. So the State Department Federal Credit Union Premium Cashback Plus Visa Signature, a very good flat cashback credit card when compared to others on the market. The process to actually get your hands on it might be a little more difficult. It could be a little frustrating, but if you are looking for, another option on the flat cashback front, or a card that maybe you weren't aware of, this is a decent one to take a look at. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.